Welcome to the June, where you'll be getting weekly doses of career tips and hacks, as well as hearing stories of grit, perseverance, and inspiration. My overall mission of this new series is really building community, sharing stories of hope, and bringing everyone closer together by creating a very inclusive environment where everyone feels welcome. Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. It is February 1st, and I can't believe it's February. The January flew by so quickly, and I'm really excited to launch my new series, but I want to play my favorite song that I hear in my head every time it's the first of the month, Bone Thugs of Harmony. Who's excited for the new month, you guys? Please comment below where you're from. This is an early morning live for me. I traditionally do my lives during lunch and then in the evening, but I have a special live today because we are having an international live this morning with someone in Dubai and then someone here that I've also met on LinkedIn. I think she's also based in the United States. But today we are going to be talking a few topics. Really focusing more on interview methods, on how to set yourself up for success when it comes to interviewing in your next upcoming interview, as well as the importance of how to dress up successfully in your interviews and in life in general. For me, I love to dress up because it boosts up my energy and confidence. So let's welcome our special guests to our show. We have Kim and Solita. Welcome.
Hey, thank you.
Well, I'm so excited to have you both here. So before we get into the discussion, let's start off with introductions. Kim, if you could introduce yourself to my community, go ahead and get started.
Hi, everyone. It's very nice to meet you. So my name is Kim. I'm from Dubai. So it's currently nighttime. Or you can see.
Thank you so much for saying it.
Yeah.
It's my pleasure to be here. So I'm a career coach and I'm an interview expert. And my purpose is to help job seekers or people that are currently employed to really get the job that they really want and not the one that they want to settle for.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for staying up so late with us in Dubai at 10 p.m. And I know we were going back and forth trying to get this schedule. So thank you so much for doing this. And Solita's actually been on my show last year with Stephen Liu.
Yes. I'm excited to be back. Thank you again, June, for just having me here, and Kim for connecting and staying up this late to be with us. We appreciate it, and I'm sure everybody that's tuning in is going to appreciate all the gems that you're about to drop. So I'm Solita. For those of you who are not familiar with me, I'm an image coach and personal stylist, and my goal is basically to help you get more out of your wardrobe. More meaning, in this instance, a better job, better salary, better opportunities. So I'm tuning in from Atlanta, so it's still daytime here. So thank you very much, June, for having me. And thank you to everyone that's tuning in. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for being part of this discussion, Solita and Kim. So before we go into the two main topics of interviewing and dressing up for success, what I really want to focus on and try to get your advice and feedback is something that I work on with my clients when I first begin my coaching journey with them, is always working on their mindsets and really encouraging them to invest in their self-care. Because for me, when I work with clients, if they don't feel confident about themselves and what values and skills they could bring to potential employers, how can they show up in networking or how can they show up on LinkedIn or in interviews? So why don't we just do a roundtable here, or just have a very collaborative conversation? Kim, why do you think it's so important? I mean, you're a career coach. Why do you think it's so important before you start any job search? Why is it so important to focus on all of the internal mindset before you get into before you do a jump start into your search?
100%. And I do the same. So I think, in terms of, the first thing we do before doing anything at all is talking about mindset, because we can get anything, but if we don't have our mindset, then we don't get very far, right? It comes back and it catches back with us. So better to deal with it from the start, so you can eliminate all of these, self-limiting beliefs and all limitations and everything. So you can focus on what matters and how to do it best. And in terms of mindset, so I usually do a few tools and a few techniques and everything in terms of, using visualization methods to really put yourself. It's not about imagining that you are getting the role, because that's a step back. It's more about taking the step forward and imagine that you already have the role. And that's a very big difference. People usually don't understand the switch between there and that, but it's about, I want to have it, and I have it. And it's very different. And if you're already in I have it mode, then you are reprogramming your mind and everything in terms of expecting it to happen. So you make everything happen around you and you behave in a different way. And that makes a super, super, super big difference.
No, absolutely. What about you, Solita? What is your take on that?
I totally agree with Kim. And that's it. Mindset is, I think it's at the core of everything. It doesn't matter whether or not you're going for a job, whether or not you're thinking about, the way you dress, whether or not you're interviewing or you're being here, just showing up here. It's a mindset thing. And once we understand, what are those limiting beliefs? What's stopping us? Because sometimes it's all in our, we have this perception of thinking about what can go wrong way in advance, and what can go wrong, what can happen, instead of focusing on what are the possibilities, that positive side. Yes, I got the job. Yes, this is how I'm showing up. Yes, this, and going that way. I think it's so important to just work on your mindset. And that's something I do with my clients as well. Because as I said, anything that you do, your mindset needs to be in the right place. It's just going through that process of knowing who you are, what are some of the things that you want, and practicing good habits to be able to get the things that you want. So I truly, truly, truly support that before you do anything, you need to work on your mindset. You need to understand what is it you want and why is it you want it, and what are some of the things that are stopping you from doing it.
Yeah, I love that. And that's something that I'm really passionate about too, is those limiting beliefs, because usually they're just feelings, right? So a lot of people that I work with, because of my tech background, they want to pivot into a tech career, right? Yeah. And some of the limiting beliefs is, oh, I don't have tech experience. Oh, I don't know anyone that work at these great tech companies. Instead of, what I usually say to help them with their mindset shift is, instead of saying it as statements, saying it as feelings, saying, I feel like I don't have connections in the tech space. When you say it as a feeling, that's something that you could actually change by incorporating, Solita and Kim, positive habits that will expand your network. So Let's talk about, what are maybe one of your two favorite tips for best practices to overcome those limiting beliefs, or to improve your mindset. Kim, why don't you go first?
I would say the most important thing is that usually you have to get out of your own way. You're the only one stopping yourself from doing anything. You might think that, but I don't have the right experience, or I'm too old, or I'm too young, or this or that, or whatever. But you're the one saying that, and you're the first person blocking everything from happening. Yep. So the first thing that you need to do is to get out of your own way. Because it all starts like this. It's about you believing in yourself. When you have 100% confidence in yourself, it doesn't matter what comes at you. It doesn't matter what gets to you, because you know that you have it, and you know that you're going to be able to make it happen. And that's the shift that you need to make in your mindset. Removing these old limitations, these self-beliefs, everything that you have in terms of, I'm not good enough, or I can't do it, or I won't be able to get it, whatever is, whatever old limitation belief that you have, we need to remove that. And I do that in a very simple coaching way, which is reprogramming your mind and removing your old limiting belief and replacing it with something that you want to have instead. And that's the first step. And you would see with time how much of a difference it makes.
Yes, and practice makes progress. Not perfect, right? It's going to definitely take some time because I know there's going to be like when it comes to like interviewing or even starting a business, there's going to be some roadblocks that you are going to face. But the thing is, the thing with like building your growth mindset, it just takes practice. So the more you actually experience these rejections or obstacles and you are aware of the situation and you are aware of the fact that you are in control on how you react to things, the more you become resilient over time, right? So Lita, what about you? What's your take on that?
Oh yes, I think that's first agreeing with Kim that we are the ones we put the obstacles in our way. We think, as I said before, we think of all the things that can go wrong and what we lack instead of what we have. And one of the things that I would suggest strongly that really helped me in just getting myself away from limiting my what I can do and what I cannot do is reading. They say reading is fundamental, but when you're running a business or you're doing an interview, you never understand how important it is to actually read someone else's perspective and really get your mindset right. One of the books that I would recommend is Atomic Habits.
Yes, I love Atomic Habits.
That one, anyone, I would suggest pick that up because it shows you there's a particular section in there that shows you how to change your mind from saying, I can't, I don't, to I have, I will. So we have to take away those negative ways of talking to ourselves and look at, as you were saying, June, you may not have the contacts as yet in tech. But if you keep saying, I don't, you're not allowing yourself to take any action. If you say, I don't, I lack the contacts, or what you're then looking at, what are some habits do I need to develop? What is it I need to do to get the contact? You're putting yourself in action mode instead of sitting back and just going, oh, I don't have it. Changing your perspective and your mindset is about taking yourself in that space where you're taking action. Get yourself into action mode, and I think that's where it starts.
I love that. Both of you guys get yourself into a place where you're taking action and stop making excuses, right? We're like, we could be our own best cheerleaders or own worst critic. I don't know why we tend to do this to ourselves, where we are continuously self-sabotaging our own mind. But the key thing is just being more aware of your emotions and feelings, and also get some accountability partners, right? And to kind of or get some feedback. That was great tips. Okay, before we talk about our main topics with interviews and how to dress up for success, I want to learn from both of you because we're going into the new year. It's already February. What are some of your ways that you practice self-care that you enjoy? Kim? Putting you on the spot.
Self-care is always a difficult topic because as much as you try to do it, it's, one day it's good and one day is not so good. And that's okay, because it's not about, it's also about, like, you always have good days and you have bad days. And you need to understand that as much as you're going to practice self-care, some days are also going to be better than others. You're going to be able to practice more self-care on some days and less on some. And it's not about being harsh to yourself because you're not able to keep up the same pace, because it's a given that it will happen. But I would say a few things. Less is more. Like, don't try to do, and we were talking about that, like, I think a few minutes ago before our call, and it's a personal choice as to what's important for you. So it's not about, it's different for me, it's different for you, it's different for Solita, it's very different, but it's about understanding what's a priority for you and what's going to make a difference for your business or for your life or whatever it is in terms of job search, for example. What really is going to drive the result and the difference, and focus on these top 3 things without trying to do everything, or reading every article or reading all of the books and all of the videos and watch all of the podcasts and everything that you're doing, because then you end up not going to do anything and losing yourself. And it's very important, as we said, like, self-care is as important as mindset. If you lose yourself, you're not going to be able to gain much. Like, you're going to burn out in a week or 2 or a month, and then you're going to go back to ground zero because everything you would have done would have been lost. So it's super important that you understand what is important for you in terms of top 3 goals for job search or business or whatever it is, and what is important for you that is a must have, a must keep for your self-care. Is it your morning walk? Is it your meditation? Is it time with your family? Is it like time with your partner? Whatever it is, at least block that space once a week, or even more if you're able to, but at least once a week. I would say more than that if possible. Or you can try and alternate these things, and it makes a difference. But you need to block them, because if you don't block them, then things will happen and you will probably not gonna be able to do them.
Yes, carve out that time in your calendar. That's a perfect example and great practice too. And always start kind of small and then maybe gradually adding more, time for self-care. I think it's good to start off maybe with like 15 or 30 minutes and then gradually apply. Or like you said, do it once a week, and then the next week, twice a week. And then I think James Clear talks about this in his book too, Solita. You just gradually kind of add different habit what's it called? Habit stacking.
Yes.
So why don't you share your tips or your best ways, Solita, as far as like self-care practices for you?
Self-care practices, I think, is important to know what your non-negotiables are. Make a list of those. Like when you sit down working on your mindset and you're working on, what is it you want to achieve, just make a list of what are some of the things that you absolutely need in your life. Like family time, as Kim said, time with yourself, maybe a glass of wine, maybe it's walking, maybe it's going for a drive, whatever is it. Make a list of all the things that you want to have that will make you happy, that will make you not lose your mind in the whole job search, building a business process. And just identify days that you want to be able to do those things. You don't have to, as Kim said, you don't have to say, today I want to read 10 books. It's like reading is part of my self-care. Having a glass of wine is part of my self-care. And listening to a podcast is part of my self-care. Going for a walk is part of my self-care. So on what days do I want to do those things? And if I'm not able to read a book or a chapter today, what else can I do? Right? Because you want to develop that self-care attitude where every day you're doing something for yourself. It doesn't have to be big. It can be just 5 minutes, just tuning out and just not, getting away from screen time, whatever is it. But find something that you can do for yourself daily that empowers you, because at the end of the day, that is what will give you the energy to go ahead and pursue the goals that you have. So just make a list of all the things that you have, that you want to do, and designate specific days when you want to do it. If you can't do it on that day, try something else.
Love that.
Yeah.
Hope you guys are taking notes if you're watching live and watching the replay. Thank you. Okay. Now let's get to the main topics, you guys. Interviews. Kim, you are the interview expert. I know. I love seeing all of your content. And I just learned so much from you through your posts, and I can definitely tell that you're so passionate about the work that you're doing with job seekers. What are some of let's actually talk about, what do you think are the common mistakes job seekers experience when it comes to interviews? And how can they overcome those mistakes or obstacles?
I would say definitely number one, practicing, as in not practicing. When I'm saying practicing, like they come to the interview because they think they're good at interviews, and maybe they are, but if you don't practice, then you're not going to be able to do your interview as good as you want to. And remember that right now the situation is very different. You are competing against so many people. It's even more difficult to nail an interview these days than back in our days, I would say, like when the situation was a bit. It's so complicated. If you don't get prepared, then you're not going to be able to stand out. Maybe you will do your interview not that bad, right? You will still do a good interview. But are you going to do a great interview? Are you going to do the best interview? Like, you're not there because you want to do an okay interview. You're there because you want to get the job. And if you're not preparing and practicing, then you won't be able to get it. And when I'm saying practicing, I'm not saying the basic practice that everyone anyway does usually, I hope, in terms of, reading the job description well, looking at the company's website, the values, the article, the social media. Everyone does that, I hope, again, because some people don't. But I hope this is the basic. I would say go beyond that, like do even more, because you want to share value during the interview that shows that you went beyond, above and beyond what they're asking for.
Yeah.
That's the number one, I think, in terms of, big mistake I see happening. The second mistake I see, and it's about mindset. It's about going there and underselling yourself, or like, being ready to take anything that you would get, whether it's salary or whether it's a job, and that will show in the interview in a way or another. Even if you are super skilled and you have so much value to offer, if you're not going there and knowing that you are the person for the job, but you just want to settle for anything you would get, that also shows in the way you behave, the way you act, your answers, how you're negotiating your salary. You're not even maybe negotiating your salary, you're just getting the job offer and you're getting
Yep.
Big no.
No.
Because if what you have to lose, if you, like, people usually tell me, but I'm afraid if I negotiate my salary that they will remove the job offer. And I would say, if people really want you, you're not closing the door, right? It's about being politically, smart when you're negotiating a salary. But it's about trying to see what you can get to an extent without closing the door. So they will never get the job offer from you if you negotiate the right way. But if you don't try, you don't get. You just stay with what you have. And I think these are the big three things that I see that, like, the top things that I see in terms of mistakes happening.
I love that. I do want to touch on the negotiation piece, because I'm actually working with a client and she has a great offer. And I'm giving her some insights because I have been on the other side as far as in the recruiting side. HR and recruiting, they have a certain budget.
Yeah.
Okay. And range that they could provide their candidates. So never accept the first offer. Of course, my biggest tip, and maybe Kim, you could share your tips here. My biggest thing is, thank them for the first offer. Say that you're very excited about the opportunity. But if it's not to your expectations, make sure you do your research, right? Mm-hmm. And go in there in that conversation with that recruiter confidently. Know your value. What are some tips for you, Kim, when it comes to now we're going to negotiation. Because I want your tips too on how to best prep. But what is your tips on how to negotiate effectively?
So definitely one thing you said is research. And when I'm saying research, I say also research about the salary. So there are job sites out there, payscale.com, glassdoor.com, indeed.com. There are so many out there. You definitely have to research to see what the company is offering as an average for the geography you're in and for the location you're in. And if you can't find something that is exactly the company, you can find something similar. Don't just look at one, because one won't be extreme versus another. Look at a few of them so you get an average. But also, if you know someone working in the company or in a similar company in a similar role, ask them. They would also know, because industry people speak to one another. They know, for example, what the average ranges are in terms of things. And that's very important so you understand. And definitely, as you said, whenever usually, HR or the hiring manager gives us a job offer, like I would say 9 times out of 10, not to be like, just in case, but 9 times out of 10, there is always a room to negotiate. Now, whether that room for negotiation is 50% more, not likely, but at least you have a base that that they're giving you what you want. And it's also very important. Why do you need to do your research? Because if you do your research the right way, you also need to give them an average. And that is very dependent on what they will give you as a job offer in the first place. If you undersell it, they're not going to give you a higher thing, right? Because they're like, jackpot, we got someone we want with skills. And you're like, exactly. I'm not going to give you more. So do your research well and try to up it. Like, for example, if I'm looking for a job and I want to have, for example, let's say $8,000 per month, okay? I'm not going to ask for $8,000 per month. I'll probably ask for $8,500 per month, because I know that when I also ask for something, they're not going to give me what I want from the first go. They're going to drop it down. Mm-hmm. They'll probably come back with 8,000 or 7,500, for example. And this is where your room to negotiate comes in terms of negotiating. And again, depending on companies, as you said, some have ranges, but the ranges, they tell you this is the salary range. But effectively, we both know, you and me, that it doesn't particularly work that way, in a sense that it depends where the person is, what their experience is, and how long have they been in the company. people that are recruited as newcomers always have an advantage. That's what they don't understand. People that stay in the company, like you grow and you have a percentage salary increase if you do 2 to 5% maximum per year. So when you join with a certain sum, you need to make sure that salary is okay for you, because it's not going to jump all of a sudden.
Yes.
Negotiate that, but that's different. So you need to make sure you're happy with that and negotiate, because then you're able to scale up more. It's super, super, super important. And then you're able to negotiate on different fronts. If they can't offer you more salary, negotiate on other benefits, schooling, leave days, holidays, anything else that you can get, insurance, depending on the companies. There is always a way to get things more with companies.
Yes. More stock, more like
personal time.
Personal time. I was gonna say that vacation hours. There's so many different things that you can negotiate, right? I love how Justin, my buddy Justin, that I need to catch up with you, Justin. I miss you. He said, he quoted you, Kim. It's about trying to see what you can get to an extent without closing the door. If you don't try, you just get what you have. And you made a great point, Kim, is because the largest offer that you will receive is when you first get that offer from the employer, right? And then there's like little merit increases in your, trajectory with the company. So it's really, really important to do your research and never accept the offer, especially if it doesn't meet your expectations, right? I always say too, leverage what else you have on the other under the table. If there's other interviews, other offers from potential companies, share that. Say like, thank you so much for your offer. Really, it's definitely something that I'm going to consider. I am interviewing at these companies as well, and they also have this on the table. Is there any way that you could, match it or beat it? Okay. Before we talk about dressing up for success, Kim, what are your 3 tips on how to win your interviews in 2021?
Practice. I know we say it 100 times, and I'm going to say it 50 times more, but practice is super important, and practice the way I mentioned practice. And if you haven't got that, then I would suggest you watch the replay after, because that's super important. Go beyond the basic research. Everyone does that. So that's number 1. Number 2, don't undersell yourself. Oversell yourself with limitations. So don't pretend that you have skills you don't if it's technical part, because that's not going to end up being good for you. But don't undersell yourself. Sell yourself to the maximum of what you can give. And you're the only person that knows how to do that. No one can do it for you. You're the only person that knows how to do that. And the third thing is, try to get as much as you can, and keep in mind that when you're going to join the company, you want to be happy with what you have. You don't just want to settle with what you have. So salary, package, benefits, that's super important for you to be able to want to make the move. Even if you're in your current company now, for example, if you still have a job, that's also room to negotiate with them. You can tell them, for example, I'm doing a great job, and I'm expecting when I go back and tell them I have an offer, that they will increase my mock offer or at least match it. This is also room for negotiation. So don't underestimate these things. And these would be my top 3 in terms of what to do. They're super important.
Are you guys taking notes or what? This is a free lesson. Please take some notes. Thank you so much, Kim, for that. Okay, let's have a discussion now.
Yeah.
You can add to this too. Solita, why is it so important, or from your experience, why is it so important to invest in yourself, into, building a great wardrobe that you could actually wear, that you could feel confident in your interviews?
Because it's as simple as 60% of your first impression is based on what you wear. That's it. That 40% is everything else that Kim said, including things that you have no control over. But that's 60%. When you walk up to someone or you get on this Zoom call and they look at you, 60% is dependent on how you look. What are you wearing? How is your hair groomed? How are you sitting? Are you fidgeting? Are you moving around? It's just all of that they're looking at, and that is your 60%. So once you're on your interviews, once you're doing these Zoom calls, especially now that we're on the internet, it is so difficult to make a connection. And I know as well, it's so difficult for me to sit still on these calls. Like sitting at a computer and just like this, and you're on an interview and you're like, okay, I don't want to use too much of my hands. And you're like, okay, you don't want to, there's so many things to consider. So the last thing that you want to have is that what you're wearing becomes a distraction. Because there's so many other things you're worrying about. There's so many other things that you have to get right. The last thing you want is what you're wearing for that to become a distraction. So it's important that you focus on comfortable clothing, wear things that you will even, yes, it's a video interview, but it's just as important or even more important right now because the time that we're in than going into a building to do an interview because everything is happening here. We're judging the way you look here, we're judging behind you, we're judging, how you sound, we're judging. There's so many different things that interviewers are paying attention to. And the way you show up is one of the most important things. As I said, 60%. Think about that for a moment.
Yes. I want to add to that too. And like, I think there's like a study that I've read that I've shared with my clients is like, if you wear something that you love to wear, it boosts up your confidence.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. There was a study that was shown, tested, not just your confidence, but your perception of yourself in that they had this white lab coat experiment where you were told, one group were told they were wearing a doctor's coat. One group were told, they were just wearing an ordinary painter's coat. The persons that were wearing thought they were wearing the doctor's coat perceived themselves to be like, okay, we have to live up to that expectation. We have to perform to that level. And as a result, they had that confidence in themselves to show up that way. So it's so important that you wear the pieces in your closet that give you that power, that makes you feel like, okay, I can do this. I have the confidence, because you want to have the mindset. You want to have that confidence and self-belief in yourself. And you want to also show up in a way that impacts and inspire that person enough to say, okay, I want to learn a little bit more about you, to draw them in, because that is what we're doing on these calls. We need to draw people in to have that conversation with us. So wear those pieces that really inspire yourself, that really give you, like, today I looked at myself, I was like, oh, how do I want to feel today? It's going to be a presentation because those are some of the things that you go through. How do I want to feel today? How do I want to look? What is the message I want to portray? So I wanted to be comfortable, but yet a little bit of stylish, kept it a little bit preppy. So I'm like, we're talking about interviews. And this is what I came up with. Put on my yellow and I feel really good about myself. And most important part, because we're doing it a lot, or we did it in 2020, it's not accepted in 2021. Wear a full outfit.
Oh my goodness. Yes, you guys. I just want to say, because what if you have to go to the restroom or say if you want to grab your notebook to take some notes. I actually posted a video about this. And then you get up and you're either wearing yoga pants is not as that bad, not that bad compared to PJ bottoms. So yes,
but if you think about, if you're doing an interview, would you wear yoga pants to an interview? No, you wear pants. Wear pants or bottoms with zippers and buttons, not strings and elastic waist that you're pulling. Because as you said, June, if you're supposed to move, and because you're deep in conversation, you're talking and you're trying to sell yourself, and you do like this. If your camera's positioned in a particular way, then you go like, oh crap, oops, I'm not wearing the appropriate bottom. You want to have that full outfit on, not only to save yourself from those embarrassing moments, but to put yourself in that mindset that I am doing an interview. Yes, I'm at home. Yes, I'm doing it on video, but I am doing an interview. And that requires wearing a full interview outfit, whatever that is, based on the company that you're interviewing for.
Yeah, I agree. How do you feel on that? How do you feel about that, Kim?
I was gonna laugh and add the anecdote before Solita added it. Remember the guy that was hosting I think he was hosting like a TV show or like a radio show, and they showed this picture. He was wearing a suit from the top, and then he was wearing like boxers, not even like yoga pants, something else from the bottom. And I'm like, so you never know where the angle is showing in terms of how much are you showing yourself, or how you're moving, everything. It's super important. And if you keep in mind an important point you said in the beginning, if you're only going to dress half up, Your confidence is not going to be as strong as if you're fully dressed, because mentally it's different. Like, you're going to be mentally prepared that I'm, okay, I'm like wearing like, I'm wearing some professional attire, and I'm much more prepared in my mindset than if I'm like half wearing it and I'm wearing pajamas because I want to feel comfortable. At the end, the interview is only 1 hour. I'm not asking you to wear high heels because we're not there. Okay. But at least you can make an effort to wear like a skirt or a dress, like, or whatever, a pants that you're wearing, that will still be professional, because it's super important for that.
Yeah.
Really.
Think about it this way, Kim. Just as you said before, you don't want to go into an interview half prepared. If you're half dressed, you're going into the interview half prepared.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah.
That's so true. And like also too, because of like given the environment that we're in, everything's done virtually.
Yeah.
You have to actually like step it up a notch when it comes to prepping for your interviews, doing more research, practicing, coming up in a presentable way of dressing up with confidence. I always think it's okay to talk with hands. What do you think, Kim? What are your thoughts on that?
I struggle with that as well, actually, by the way. So I struggle with that as well, because I speak with my hands a lot. But then I mentioned to my clients, like, when they're in an interview, in a video interview, you have to be mindful first where the camera angle is. So my camera right now is not in the right thing because I'm not doing a video interview. But yours, for example, is a right angle. I should be like sharing a bit more of just my face, but not so much in the sense. Yeah. And it's very important that you talk with your hands, but not so much, because when I talk with my hands like now, you can see me.
Distracting.
Exactly. Now we're talking about subjects that are interesting, but if I'm talking about an interview and I want the person to focus on what I'm saying, I need to make sure I give them the maximum focus, right? And one thing we forget, and I know we three of them haven't been doing it, but that's because we look at each other. Look at the camera.
Yes. Yes.
I know, it's so hard to forget.
This is what I was saying earlier. It's like on these video calls, on these interviews we're doing via Zoom and Skype and everything, it's so much more difficult than in person, because there's so many things you have to focus on. You have to look this way. You have to not. I speak with my hands as well. And for me not to do that, I have to put it down here and be like, okay, no, I have to like constantly remind myself. So there's so many things that you have to focus on when you're in the actual, you get that opportunity to do the actual interview. So it's important we're hoping that you guys are taking notes to show up as best as you can. Prep yourself before and make sure that you're wearing those pieces that really we're using clothes as the piece that influence someone to really pay attention to you. That's what it is. Your wardrobe is not about, just wear, oh yeah, I'm going to wear something glamorous today. It's like, no, what is it I need to wear to be able to grab that person's attention, but not distract from my message?
Yes, absolutely.
As well, like, be mindful of not wearing too many accessories. Like, it's fine to wear accessories that are, a bit subtle and nice, but don't like try to wear like, a lot of things that also from everything that's happening.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Okay. Thank you guys. Before we transition and end this live, I want to give you guys some time to share what you do with my community. I don't have your websites. I have your LinkedIn profiles here. So let's start off with Kim first. This is Kim's LinkedIn right here. I put both Kim's and Solita's LinkedIn profiles in the comments. I'm just gonna actually put up your content in your posts because I love your posts every day. You're very consistent. But how do you help people, and where can people find you?
Sure. So I have a few. So I have LinkedIn, definitely. I have Instagram as well. Instagram, I would say don't follow my personal account. I mean, you can if you want to, but that's not where I share my interview and job search tips. So I have an Instagram account that's at Nail Your Interview. And I have my website, which is nailyourinterview.com. So very simple for you to follow. You can also find it on my LinkedIn profile in terms of website. So you can find that. And that's where I share tips every day, on job search, mindset, interview strategy, salary negotiation, everything that's important for you to understand and to handle. I have a newsletter that's coming up soon. So make sure to connect on my website and to put your details so you can participate in my newsletter. They'll be full of tips and tricks and everything. And I have a webinar coming soon around the last week of Feb that I'm very excited about, and I'll be talking about more obviously when the date comes a bit more close to the date in Feb on my LinkedIn profile. So I invite you to follow my page, and you'll get free tips on how to nail your interviews and to get your job search.
My gosh, I'm taking notes on your website, Kim.
Yeah, Kim has an impressive website. I'm like,
you're putting my website to shame. Okay.
Oh, tell me about it. I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay then, Kim.
Okay, Kim. I see you, Kim. I see you.
Yeah, amazing.
I love it. I will drop. If you're watching the replay, I will drop Kim's website in the comments. Okay, Solita, how can you help people, and where can people find you?
Oh, so as I said before, it's about helping you to get more out of your wardrobe, to be able to make the impact as you're looking to in your interviews. That includes, I have like 2 programs right now. There is the Shop Your Closet for those persons who, you have the things in your closet, but you're not sure how to put it together, what to wear to show up on your interviews, your LinkedIn Live, or, just getting on these calls and you don't know what to wear. There's a program I do have for that, which is Shop Your Closet, and you can email me on that one, which is hello@styletoimpact.com. I also have the 7 days style confidence. Those are for persons who, you have no idea what to wear based on your body type, what colors to wear. So you want a little bit more help than just putting together your outfits, in terms of what to wear. So you can catch me on my, obviously, June is showing that page there where you can apply for that. And you can also, I'm on Instagram and I'm on LinkedIn mostly right now. Those are my main channels. I'm not like June is yet to get on TikTok.
But you're putting my secrets out there.
You can catch me on Instagram and LinkedIn. And of course, my website is www.styletoimpact.com.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Hey, Joan. Nice to see you. I see Nathan. Nathan, thank you so much for the love and your post. This was great. Well, I'm going to kind of share what's next with me, you guys. So we just kicked off February. So I'm going to be, for the whole month of February, I'm focused on 3 different things. So job search strategy, highlighting Black entrepreneurs that inspire me because it is Black History Month, as well as talking to some people about the importance of self-care, self-love, because it's Valentine's Day in 2 weeks. But please, you guys, if you can, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I will drop the link in the comments. I am at 80 followers and I'm trying to get to 100 so I could change my URL and personalize it. And then sign up for my newsletter at buildwithjune.com. And then I will be in the club every Wednesday. Every Wednesday at Clubhouse at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the Job Search Angels. We are giving advice for free on different topics such as resume, interviewing, networking, things like that. So very busy month for me for February. And I'm also working on an ebook. So stay tuned for that. I'm hoping to launch that by the end of Q1. But thank you guys so much. What are you guys excited for the month before we wrap up the show? Kim, you go first.
Well, for me, I'm excited because I have a lot of things in store. So the webinar, the programs, clients I'm signing in. So I'm super excited about it and sharing more tips with obviously our LinkedIn community in terms of helping them also get the jobs that they have. So it's only month 1 of the year. There is still 11 months left, but that's very exciting because we can see how much we can do in these 11 months with only the month that has passed. So I would also invite you to think about it the same for yourselves in terms of how much you have time. How much time, you have left for you to achieve your goals this year?
Yes, we have plenty of time. 11 months, you guys.
Yes.
And you could we only have 28 days. Right? 28 days.
Yeah.
For February. Yeah. So make each day count. And I want to also say, focus on 3 small goals at a time if you can each day. Right? What's that? And self-care, please. Self-care. Solita, what about you?
Oh, it's been an exciting year for me. 2021, I officially and rebranded my business into Style to Impact. So it's like woo hoo hoo. I'm one of the things that I'm like super excited about is I did a few interviews over the last week and a half, women making an impact interviews that I've been able to connect with some phenomenal women. I'll be sharing those interviews over the course of the month. Obviously, I'm also on YouTube. Just started a channel, so that'll be the first. Yes, that'll be the first set of content being posted on there. So of course, I have to figure out how to get my link so people can follow me. Subscribe to my channel. Like I'm gonna have to send you a message on that. But like I'm super excited about that and being able to like share all the tips that have like really inspired me to be able to start my journey and how we can really step out of our own comfort zone and really do the things that truly matters to us in a way that empower us and inspire each other at the same time. So I'm really excited for 2021. There's so many, even if whatever happens in the world is fine, sometimes you have to stay within your own space and grow in that space. So yeah, I'm excited.
Well, I'm excited to watch your journey, you guys, for 2021. I just dropped both Kim and Solita's websites. Please follow them and connect with them. They've brought so much gems today to kick off February strong. Yeah. Thank you, Shane, for tuning in. And yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. I will see you on Thursday, you guys. I'm going live with one of my friends that I've worked with in as a recruiter, and we are talking about 5 mistakes to avoid in your career. So stay tuned for that. And thank you guys so much, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Now this for everybody fighting through the pain and the pressure. You know life will try to test you, but you promise not to give up for your mama and your